Hello, hello, hello. Good evening, everybody. Good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are. Happy Dyslexia Awareness Month. It's a privilege to come your way once again. This is so exciting, an exciting episode for us because we have been very busy celebrating Dyslexia Awareness Month all over the world, all over in Africa. And what a best way to kind of really cement the awareness month is to kind of bring together like-minded people, individuals who are making change on the continent of Africa with regards to dyslexia-related learning disabilities. And this conversation is going to bring together like nine others, including me, excluding me, making us 10 on one screen for you to kind of ask us questions. And so we encourage you to really make this conversation an interesting one. This is Dyslexia Global Conversation. And today it's going to be humbling. So you stick together and let's introduce you to all our speakers for today. And so I'm going to bring all of them on stage and I'll introduce them as they come. So we'll bring together Phyllis from Dyslexia Organization Kenya and Coach Lola Aneke from C.A.D.E.T Academy Nigeria, Sandra for Africa Dyslexia United Congo, Oladowi, One Africa, One World Africa, Jeranjie from Malawi, Dyslexia Malawi, and Blessing from Dyslexia Health Africa. And then we have Dr. Abe, who is also from Ethiopia. The rest of the two will join us shortly and we can introduce all of them to you. And so, hello, sisters and brothers. It's humbling to have you all together this way. I don't know if anything like this has happened before, but for me, I'm so excited to have all of you here on one screen for us to just share what we have been doing so far. All of you are seniors in this journey than me, so it's humbling to be among you, and I give all the heart to you. And so today we're going to go in this section by first of all calling you to kind of introduce yourself. I know I've mentioned your name, I've mentioned your organization name, but you will be able to introduce yourself in details. And we'll start with Coach Lola Aneke. Please, can you introduce yourself and introduce your organization as well? And what sets you up to start C.A.D.E.T Academy?
Wow. Thank you so much, Miss Rosaline. And I'm privileged to be the first to speak. And I have a 3-in-1 question to respond to. Interesting. Hello, everyone. Hello, Africa. Hello, world. Because I believe it's a global event. And I'm so excited to be in the midst of these amazing humans who are doing excellently well in the space of learning disability, particularly dyslexia. My name is Lola Aneke, and I am the founder of C.A.D.E.T Academy. I'm the founder and executive director of C.A.D.E.T Academy. C.A.D.E.T Academy is an acronym for Comprehensive Autism and Related Disabilities Education and Training Academy. So we are called C.A.D.E.T Academy. We are based in Abuja, Nigeria. And if I would just summarize, all that we stand for is to make education inclusive and accessible to all, irrespective of any ability status. Now, the reason we do what we do at C.A.D.E.T is to ensure, again, like I said, every individual has the opportunity to access quality education. Now, in relation to dyslexia, for real, so happy Dyslexia Awareness Month. I forgot to say that I'm excited about it. And thank you for everything we're all doing to ensure that every child can read or is able to, I mean, every child is literate. So at C.A.D.E.T Academy, what we do is we adopt evidence-based strategies to ensure that individuals with learning disability are able to not only read but be able to function socially. Because the truth is that if you're not literate, the tendency for you not to function socially very high. if you all agree with me, we all communicate most times officially with English language. So that's what we do. We do that by collaborating with other organizations. We've collaborated with several organizations seated here today. And one thing that I realized personally as a leader of that organization was 10 years back, we realized that a good number of teachers did not understand how to empower students to read right from even preschool to not to primary and then secondary. And that for me is a big huge blow in the face to the entire nation. So the first thing we did about 10 years ago was to organize a dyslexia training. And then after that, the outcome was quite good because we had people coming from different parts of Nigeria to come hear about what dyslexia is all about and the deficit and what teachers could do to help these children. And after that, we started traveling around Nigeria just to create awareness and to empower teachers on how to work with individuals with dyslexia. Then we realized that it's better to work smarter than to to keep working. It's good to work hard, but it's smarter to work smarter. So after that, after a couple of about 3 years, we decided to put together a book called the Dyslexia Bible. That way we believe that the book will travel further than we moving from one state to the other to create this awareness. And also we've been able to partner with an organization called the Nestle Learning to develop training programs for teachers in Africa on that understanding dyslexia. I think I've been able to summarize all that we've done so far. Thank you.
Beautiful, beautiful work you're doing. And yes, I follow your work, and you yourself have been very supportive and instrumental part of like Africa Dyslexia Organization. And I know that a couple of us here have also collaborated with you one way or the other. And so we thank you for all the beautiful work that you're doing in this space, championing not just awareness, but giving support to our learners and being very inclusive. And I know also that you have a center in Abuja where you actually do interventions and stuff. And so we really appreciate the work that you are doing. We'll come back to you again. Thank you for sharing. And then we will move to Dyslexia Organization Kenya to hear from Madam Phyllis. Madam Phyllis, can you introduce yourself, introduce your organization, and even what made you to start this organization?
Thank you, Rosalind, and everyone else. And I'm happy to be here. I'm so excited to have this conversation about dyslexia championing in Africa. This is the first time we're having this conversation, and it is so exciting. So my name is Phyllis Munyi. I'm the founder and managing director of Dyslexia Organization Kenya. We started this organization like over 10 years ago. And as a parent of a child with dyslexia, of course, right now he's a big man. After having started this, if it was 10 years ago and he was in lower classes, so he's already a grown man. But what motivated me, and when I'll keep referring to us, is because it is a partnership, or this is a journey that we've gone together with my sister. And what motivated us is, as Rora has said, we identify, or we realized that there was no awareness. Like a parent of a person, of this child, I expected that our teachers, being it is an education story or it is a education field, I expected that teachers knew. And a shock on me when I went to talk to my teachers, my son's teacher, they had not heard about dyslexia. So and then when I talked to him about, now I have known what it is he has, and then he was like, I am protecting my lazy son, and he wasn't ready to just allow such a thing to happen. So what I did is, now I realized there was this gap and decided to take it up on myself to learn as much as possible. And after that, I started now spreading this gospel. And long story short, we decided now there is a need to find a foundation where we could now, or a framework where we can now do awareness in a structured way. And yes, that's when we started the Dyslexia Organization in the year 2010. So actually, we are celebrating almost 13 years of formal awareness. And I would say that this is not been a simple journey. We have had peaks and falls in here, but I thank God that right now the awareness is not as it was when we started. People have, teachers have even coming out to just text and say, yes, I've seen this child. Could it be dyslexia? What do you do? And so, yes, uh, and after only 1 year of awareness, again, parents were now coming to find whether there was a school that we could refer the children to. And again, as I said, there wasn't any awareness, so even schools were not aware. So no school that I would have referred these parents to. And these again drove us. Not, I would not say it is really a motivation, but it was an answering for a need that, or a gap that was there. Then we started a school for children with dyslexia and other neurodevelopmental disorders. And I'm glad that now we are counting 4 years of class of having done a high school. So I think I'll go back. I'll allow you to go on so that I can back. I'll come back again and explain more about us. But that's our story. And yeah, I am happy that this is, it has driven us to this level. Awareness is not as it was before we started. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. And I could feel the passion and the need over there when you have a child and you're guessing to see what could it be the challenge. And for both of you and your sister to have children who were struggling at that time, but you didn't sit down and you went your way to start researching about it and finally realize that your child is dyslexic. And also you didn't just stop there. You decided that you want to embark on this journey where you will support other families, other children. And that is so marvelous. And thank you for doing that for the past 13 years. I'm sure it was a lonely journey. And then like, if I look at Coach Lola as well starting, I'm sure it was a lonely journey, but you're all here doing it beautifully, and we are very happy to be connected with you. And let's see how this will take us far. This is the time for us to change our narratives as Africans when it comes to renaming and calling people with different unpalatable names in classroom just because of their inability to perform academically. So, our viewers, thank you for joining us. This is Dyslexia Global Conversations. My name is Rosalind, and I am today hanging out with Coach Lola Aneke, who is the founder of C.A.D.E.T Academy, Phyllis Munyi from Dyslexia Organization Kenya, Jeranjie from Dyslexia Organization Malawi, Blessing from Dyslexia Help Africa, Oladunwi, One World Africa, Sandra, Africa Dyslexic United. And so you're welcome to send in your greetings. Let us know where you are listening to us from. You could also post questions in our comments room so that we are able to ask our speakers for you. And so let's go back and speak to some of our speakers over here. And I will go with Oladowi. Oladowi, can you share your story with us? How did you come to be in this journey, in this incredible journey, but very um, busy? I don't know how to even classify it. How did you come into this whole dyslexia stuff and starting One World Africa?
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. And very amazing to be amongst all my coaches, colleagues. I love the fact that our dyslexia community is very supportive, and I can. It's very happy. It's very amazing to see us be on this platform today. So my name is Oladoyin Idowu, and I'm the founder of One World Africa Foundation. Um, so which do I go first? Okay, so why do I do this? My starting One World Africa was because of the experiences I personally had going through the educational system with undiagnosed dyslexia. And what that meant was that because it was undiagnosed, the teachers did not know what they were dealing with. No one knew what they were dealing with, and rather than provide support, or what they assumed was support, was just traumatizing me in terms of trying to motivate me by flogging me. Or I see my dad on the chat right now. Hi, Dad. He also tried to support me by ensuring that I had lesson teachers all the time and had no time to breathe. I died again. In retrospect, I understand, right? But at the time, it was literally just being snuffed all the time with lesson and classes. And if you teach a dyslexic person in a way that they do not understand, no matter how much you have them sit in front of the book, you're not going to get any impact, right? So yeah, I started One Word Africa with anger. So it was anger. I was angry. I was ready to sue the educational system when I discovered the word dyslexia. So it was a case of, why did you have to put me through this when this is what I was going through? So it's started as an advocacy organization. Just recently this year, we then transitioned into support, which now leads me to what we do as One Word Africa Foundation. So One Word Africa Foundation is an organization that provides psychological support to individuals living with dyslexia. Now, why psychological? Because I experienced dyslexia, I know for a fact that dyslexia impacts you more than in your academics. It has psychological impact on you. And I also know that once you leave the classroom, long after you've left the educational system, I'm graduated from school now, and I still have the psychological impact of living with dyslexia amongst all the other experiences that I had in the educational system. So we exist to provide psychological support to individuals living with dyslexia and ensuring that we have programs that helps them at the different levels of education that they are in. So we have a dyslexia ally program for children in primary school, where we train primary school classmates on how you can better support your classmate. I remember when I was in school, my classmates also joined hands in, calling me Olodo and all of those things. So now we designed a program which is called Dyslexia Ally. How can you be an ally to that dyslexic classmate that you have? So it's an empathy program where you're trained on how you can show empathy, because I believe that ignorance is some of the reasons why people do what they do. So now when we go into schools and educate people on how best you can, if you see a struggling classmate, rather than add to making the environment toxic for them, this is how best you can help them. We have the study skills intervention program as well, which is for adults living with dyslexia, especially in undergraduate setting, because that's past the level for early intervention. You're in the school system and you need to be supported. And then we have the dyslexia tribe, which is the support group session, is set up like the AA, Alcoholic Anonymous. That's the easiest way to explain what the dyslexia tribe does. And it's pretty much also bringing dyslexics together, adults living with dyslexia together, to discuss the emotional and psychological impact of living with dyslexia in a supportive environment, where we usually have, a licensed psychologist or someone who has experienced dyslexia like myself, or someone who can properly help to direct whatever feedback we're getting from the guest and ensure that they leave feeling supported. So again, it's a psychological organization where we provide psychological support for individuals living with dyslexia. We've been doing this for 7 years, so it's advocacy for the past 7 years. We recently just transitioned to providing support, also because at the time it was anger, but now I'm seeing the work, I'm understanding the ignorance, and I'm ready to ensure that we can fix the problem. Thank you.
Wow, 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 wow. Beautiful work you're doing. It's exciting. You see why I always say I'm the baby here? I am the baby here. But what makes you when you're a baby is that you soak in all the resources from left, right, center, everywhere. And so thank you. And I'm very humble and privileged to be among you all. And this conversation, I'm happy we're doing this because I don't know if you have realized, but I have seen when we talk about all this beautiful stuff about dyslexia. I'm not saying that every dyslexic is going to be superstar out there like Richard Branson and all that, but then we can help our kids to realize themselves and their potential and their creativity. The adults with dyslexia as well who don't even know, we can get them to know. And for me, I feel like we coming together as a one voice on the continent in the next 10 years, 20 years, we're going to see those brilliant adults with dyslexics and different, even other related learning disability who are thriving. That if we hadn't been on this journey, probably would have been written off. And so that's the beautiful part of what we're doing. And I hope that this conversation will take us from today to another level of whatever conversation we have been having in the past. Somebody just raised a concern, and I would like us to address it a little bit before we move on, saying that why is it that all the founders are female and we are not gender balanced? And I want to say that yes, we do have a male founder. He's trying to connect, but the internet is not working, and he is the founder of Dyslexia Ethiopia FANA organization. And so we are very gender balanced here. But it's quite interesting when you look at organization founders, even globally, looking at dyslexia organizations, you see a lot of females. And I think Phyllis wants to comment, if I'm right. Phyllis, you can go ahead before I go back to our next speaker.
I saw that question and it is exciting. And as you have said, the reason mostly that founders of special need are women is because they are mothers and they are the ones who interact a lot with the children when they are they go through the hassles with the child. So a man will join when it is him affected most of the time, but when a woman can join because she is the one who is affected, or the child is the one affected. Also, the other reason is that you find women are the one in early childhood training, majority of them, so they are able to relate. And in the special need, you find they are more empathetic with the child, so they would want to help and change this child. That is my observation. I've realized that even when you look at all the organizations in special needs, like autism, all those that are having special needs, most of them are founded by women. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Phyllis, for that. Okay, let's go to Madam Sandra for Africa Dyslexic United. Can you introduce yourself and tell us why you are on this journey? Sandra.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, this is absolutely amazing to get this great opportunity. It was definitely needed. It's definitely needed. And well done to you, Sister Rosalie. And yes, it's amazing. I think the time has come. We're doing this online, but next time we should see each other face to face, start picking the countries where we're going to do. Get families, get everybody together. Let's celebrate dyslexic. Let's celebrate the gift of dyslexic Africans. That's what it's going to be about. So that's what I want us to do. I'm Sandra. I'm originally from Congo, but I live in UK. I'm going to talk about more what I do in Africa. Also run my organization here, supporting dyslexic adults. Dyslexic adults, my part is well-being for adults who are affected by dyslexia. The reason I'm going to take it step by step, because you all know I jump things. That's the way I am. That's the thing I love about my dyslexia. The reason I decided to run this organization, first of all, I am dyslexic myself. And I realized it was lots of all sorts of, it was lacking out there. As being a child, as also my parents not knowing, how to go about having a child who is dyslexic. How do you support that child? How do you see that child's future, the life in the future? So I decided I'm going to go to Congo, where I came from. Once I knew I was dyslexic, to address the awareness of dyslexia. I was inspired by Dyslexic Kenya. I was talking to Sister Nancy. I was so overwhelmed because I was looking around. I couldn't really find any organization that was supporting dyslexic in Africa. There was, but it wasn't strong as she was. So she's the one that motivated me. She told me, you need to speak on behalf of your people. It was hard because dyslexic is still a taboo. People that were looking at my structure, a beautiful woman like you, well represented. these things in African community, you should not talk about. If somebody's struggling academically, you're not allowed to talk about it. Leave it as it is. And I told the people who used to tell me to stop. I said, no, if I could find the light in the end of the tunnel, why not bring this awareness or bring this light to my people? So I didn't really think to run organization. I just wanted to go to churches because my journey living with dyslexia was very painful, as you know, personal living with experience. Go to churches, go to the schools, whatever, just to address the awareness of dyslexia. Make sure their parents has understanding. Make sure the churches have understanding. Make sure the education has an understanding of dyslexia. The child in Africa, it doesn't mean if they're struggling, they've been possessed by the demons. Is this disability called dyslexia? And that every child should be given opportunity. Like I wasn't given that opportunity, just to talk about my own personal journey. And then when I went to Congo, back where I'm originally from, it was shocking. It felt like word dyslexia, it never existed in this planet or in a dictionary. Nobody got to the point. I went to even to education ministry. They've never heard of what dyslexic was. And I was absolutely blown away. I told myself, I can't keep my arms crossed. I have to do something about it. I have to work along with the school, and I also have to work along with the families. So I decided to set up the organization. We all know Africa, it takes a lot of this. I decided to set it up, and I was working with schools, working with families, working with adults who's been affected by dyslexia, the one that was still living in heights, giving them counseling, boosting the self-esteem, self-confidence. They couldn't believe it. I was dyslexic because I was so out there. Because living with dyslexia, you have to be this person. You have to hide because you're not worth it in the community, or you're not worth it in your family. So I was a great image to tell them that I'm loud. I love myself. My uniqueness comes from my dyslexia. So I work with schools. We do one-to-ones. We do a lot of training because Congo, they speak French. So it makes it very difficult because I grew up in UK. I speak mostly English. My French is not that great. So we have to get the French teachers on board who speaks French to give the teachers training, how to support their children, to work along with the school. So I thank God for the first time in history of Congo. Now we have a school just for dyslexic children in Kinshasa. For the first time in history of Congo. For that, I am really proud of myself. There's a thing I always tell people. I am not, it's like a patient who has this illness, but I am not a doctor. And I know the pain and I know the difficulty comes with it. I always tell people, I'm going to build this hospital, but I'm not a doctor. I need people to come on board. I am the person who's living with the illness, who comes with ideas. We need to create this hospital. And I always ask people, whoever can come on board to support those children. I believe every child's unique, first of all. I also believe education is a human right. It is a human right. Child having dyslexia, child having any type of learning difficulties or any disability, they have a right to learn because they learn in a different ways. And it's about giving that chance. So I'm proud of myself to say, all over Congo, I'm the only one actually in that country running organizations supporting dyslexic children, also adults who are affected by dyslexia in that country. Yes.
Wow. Beautiful work you're doing. Wow. And it tells you the power when you just start something. When you haven't started is another thing. And then when you start and you truly believe in what you're doing, then it makes all the difference. And I can imagine the next 10 years what is going to be. And especially we gradually also thinking about coming together as one voice on the continent is going to change a lot of things. I know one of the things that we have discussed in our previous meetings is how do we dialogues around with ministries of educations and stuff. And this is a gradual process. The best thing is something has started. And I know that with all of us together and being supportive of each other, we're going to achieve something great. So thank you, Madam Sandra, for all that you're doing over there. Okay, So let's go to Madame Malawi. Jeranjie, let's hear from you. Let's hear from you, my sister. Tell us, why are you on this journey of awareness and support in Malawi?
Hi, can you hear me? All right, so my name is Jeranjie Kamfose, and I'm from Malawi. I'm the founder and CEO of Able Foundation, Dyslexia Malawi. It's a blessing to be here with you, all the founders from all over Africa. It's amazing, and it's a beautiful thing that we're doing something African with all Africans. Yeah, so my journey started in 2018 as in Able Foundation Dyslexia Malawi. That's when we were registered. But it was because of my niece. So my niece, she has severe dyslexia, and we struggled a lot with her when it comes to school. So we knew that she was dyslexic because of one of the teachers, one of the volunteers who came from England. And that time, I think she was in grade 6 or 4, somewhere there. And she told us about dyslexia. That's the first time that we heard about dyslexia. But then I think we didn't really pay too much attention to that. With like, probably teachers would know what dyslexia is. So as she was climbing the ladder, going to different schools, we still noticed that she's having difficulties with her studies and all that. But every time we would take her to a different school and we would explain that she's dyslexic, she needs more help and everything, and they would say, "Yeah, no problem, she can come in and we're going to help her." But then over time, we noticed that she's not getting the help that she's supposed to get. And then I decided to move her to a special needs school. And then when I took her to that special needs school, she stayed there for 2 years. And then after 2 years, I was called. Like one of the head teachers just told me that, like with her age, I think you have to take her out of school and find something to do with her because she's not going to really improve. So it was more like, Ola, when you were saying anger, frustration, like, okay, so I took her like for 2 years and I was expecting that I would get the help. I mean, being a special needs school. So now they're telling me to take her out from that school. What am I going to do with her? So that anger, that frustration from that day, I was like, no, we have to do something. And then that's when I was like, maybe I should research more about dyslexia. Or else I should also have an organization whereby we are going to raise the awareness of dyslexia, especially in Malawi. Because at that time, even when I was taking her to the special needs school, not much, or a lot of people didn't really know what dyslexia was. And I couldn't find anything. Like if you Google and you're trying to find information on online, you couldn't really get any information, especially in Malawi. I mean, all you could see or all would pop up is Dyslexia Kenya and all that, but nothing in Malawi. Yeah. So I was like, how come other countries they have all these information, but in Malawi there is nothing? Maybe I should do something about it. That's when I decided to bring in Able Foundation Dyslexia Malawi, and the Dyslexia Malawi was for a purpose. I had to put Malawi because I couldn't get anything online. So I'm like, imagine if people are trying to find out something in Malawi. I mean, they can't find anything. Yeah. So Able Foundation was the original name of the organization, but I had to put Dyslexia Malawi so that it could be easy for people to find information when they checking anything about dyslexia in Malawi. So that's how we started. So when we were starting, it was more like awareness. I would just maybe open a page and put information, let people aware about dyslexia. I'll write everything about dyslexia, and then I'm seeing what other people. So it's more like when you're seeing the others, you're learning. So, oh, okay, my friends are doing this. Maybe I should also do this. To to get so that the information should get to a lot of people. So because I was thinking, if we are only focusing on Facebook, then only people with Facebook will get to know about about dyslexia. But what about schools? What about the communities outside town where there's no access of internet and all that? So my mission kind of shifted, like, okay, I will do the first book, but at the same time, I should also concentrate more on government schools, because I saw that gap. There was a huge gap. So imagine when my niece went to a private school, and this private school could not help her. What more of those kids who are in government schools? That means there is chaos there. So the awareness started, and we did pretty well in the first year, but we thought of collaborating with teachers from government schools, even up to until now. That's what we're doing. So we are more on social media, but also we are working more with government teachers as well. So that's pretty much how we started Able Foundation, Dyslexia Malawi, and here we are with my beautiful sisters, founders, and our brother trying to raise awareness.
Beautiful, beautiful. Wow. It's so beautiful. Like all of us, it seems like the moment you start finding out something and you're not funny, like, okay, then I step into it. And there is a genuine connection to everybody here regarding anything that we're doing. And it's just so beautiful. And bless your heart for all that you're doing for our kids, the kiddos out there, the adults out there. Thank you. I know that journey is not easy, especially starting something that people are not familiar with. You sing and they're like, what kind of song are you singing? And so even the support is not there, even the government opening their doors for you. Sometimes you yourself have to go and tell them, like Sandra said, they had never even heard about dyslexia, so how would they support you? And that's what right now we are on, to change those narratives, and it's going to work. So let's stick together and do this on a larger scale from here. So now let's go to my last person. I see Dr. Abe is struggling to join us. He's the founder of FANA Ethiopia. He's our male to gender balance us, but due to technical issues. So I see that the issue with gender is still going on in the chat, but I would assure you that yes, there are male founders on the continent as well. Dr. Gad is one of them, but he's not also here. So please relax. Don't be angry with us. All right, lesson. My dear sister, I intentionally called you last.
Um,
So
I'm sorry to cut you off. I'm sorry to cut you. I think he might be able to join without his video because it says, sorry, video is a luxury for me. So I think if we can accommodate him speaking without the video, it won't be a bad idea at all.
okay, so since he's on now, let's see.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Can you hear me?
Hold on, let's
Hey,
see if
hey.
Dr. Abe can go, then we call you, okay? Dr. Abe, can you hear us?
Hey, hey, everyone.
Good evening.
Hello.
How are you?
Good evening. Good evening.
Can you
Finally, can I just tell you? Can I just tell you what I did? I had to like drive out from my home to be able to get a connection because I'm living in the outskirts of Addis Ababa. So I have to
ah,
like I'm in the car now. So I had to drive out
it's good.
in the hope that I could get a little bit of better connection, and I managed finally.
Thank you for the effort you have put in that. We really
Thank you
appreciate you.
so
And
much.
that's
Thank you
how.
so
So
much.
you
Thank
go
you.
ahead and
Even
introduce yourself and your
yeah,
organization.
even
And
if
we,
the internet connection was intermittent, I was listening. I was able to listen to some of the participants, sisters introducing themselves, and I have been able to read the profiles of many of the convenience here, and I'm really impressed with what you guys have already been doing. So let me just briefly introduce myself. My name is Ababaye. You can call me Abe. I mean, all of you are African, so you are used to Ababayo, Adibayo. You know, these are the common African names. Yeah, Ababayo McConan. You can call me Abe to make life easier for everyone. Abe, and I am an academic. I'm an associate professor of clinical linguistics at Addis Ababa University, and I'm also a founding manager of this local non-civic organization, non-profit, which is working on learning challenge, including dyslexia and other specific learning challenges, as well as communication issues. Given that my background is linguistics and I'm interested in communication, language-based communication disorders, speech disorders, language disorders. But I'm not interested just in the specific learning challenges such as dyslexia, but also, language-related other issues as well. So I'm a founding manager of this local NGO called FANA. FANA in my language, the federal working language of Ethiopia, it is called the Amharic. In Amharic, FANA means a guiding light. So we named the organization FANA because we thought that we could serve as a guiding light for those who are struggling with.
I think we just lost Abe again, and we will continue with Blessing from Dyslexia Health Africa. And once he comes back, we'll give him the opportunity. Blessing, go ahead and introduce yourself. We have a long way to go today.
Yes, we should do. Good evening, everyone. Good evening to my amazing sisters and brother doing amazing advocacy work here in Africa. So, my name is Blessing Ngapi. I am the founder of Dyslexia Help Africa. And three of the basic things we do here at Dyslexia Help Africa is one, to create dyslexia awareness. I mean, we all can tell that we really need more people to know what dyslexia is. What I've noticed during my advocacy period and all is that you have people, most people know dyslexia, but don't know the right thing about dyslexia. Like I remember each time I tell someone, oh, I teach children with dyslexia, and I'm so happy that they know what dyslexia is. But then when they say, oh, those children that write things upside down, I say, no, is that the only thing you know about them? I remember in my classroom group on WhatsApp, they would say, Olodo teacher. I mean, if you're a Yoruba person, you know exactly what that means. So they'll be like, do you remember all of those classmates of ours that are Olodo? That's the kind of children that blessing teaches. So while we have a lot of people who don't know what dyslexia is, I think research says about 92% of teachers don't even know what dyslexia is. Then the few that know what dyslexia, that have heard the word dyslexia, don't even know what it means. So we are here to create more awareness. And then secondly, we're here to also offer research, best research-based intervention for children with dyslexia. So we offer tutoring sessions, both physical and online. And one of the reasons why I started this um, was because while working at my former and current place of work, I've always been with Lola and Aneke right from the beginning. So it's hard to say former because I still work there as well. I started working with children with learning difficulties and it clicked. For the first time, I could relate to the classmates I had back then who struggled in school. And I was like, okay, this was the problem. And truly, these kids can learn because through the strategies I learned, I taught these kids and they're doing amazingly well. But then when I look back, I realized that the classmates I had, even in tertiary institution, yeah, you'd have people in tertiary institution. And I have also wondered, I'm like, how do you get into the university when you're like this? And I kept wondering. But working at Cadet Academy, I got the answer and I understood that, oh, there is something called dyslexia. But then there is also help for these individuals as well. So we offer tutoring sessions to children with dyslexia. And then finally, we also train teachers, parents, and people who want to know more about dyslexia. We do that through a training that we're partnering together with Cadet Academy, and we call it the Dyslexia Certificate course. Because when I started working with children with dyslexia, I realized that we have millions of these kids. I can't reach all of these kids. I mean, all of us here together can really reach all of these kids. I mean, how many countries do we have in Africa and how many countries are represented here? So we still need more people, you know, advocating for children with dyslexia. So I said, well, listen, you can't reach everyone. Even as much as you're offering hybrid sessions, you still have lots of kids everywhere. So what do you do? And I said, you know what? I'm going to multiply myself. I'm going to pour out my commitment. I'm going to pour out my passion into teachers so that wherever they are, they can also help these children and pour their passion to them as well. So one of the visions that is connected towards the training part of our organization is to ensure that the same passion I carry, we pour it out to different teachers. And we always tell them, whatever you're receiving here is not just for you. The same way I poured out to you, the same way we are pouring out to you, it is your responsibility to pour out to your community. So wherever you're connecting in any part of Nigeria, I will always tell them, because it's an online course and we have people from different parts of Africa and people here in Nigeria connecting from different states. The goal is that you're taking this information to your state, to your community as well. And that's why one of the projects we have currently is a project of community work. And you have to present that before you get your certificate. You need to show that this information you share, you got, you're sharing it with more people in your community as well. So I got passionate into this line of work because when I noticed that these kids that I knew then, what they were, the challenge they had, it's something called dyslexia. You know, it really was, it still hurts each time I think about it because I still remember vividly things that happened, how these kids were flogged, literally. I mean, nobody would give them a time to think. Like, okay, stand up, read. They can't read, and we'll all laugh, including me. And you're just wondering that why can't you read? You see some kids constantly, they are kneeling down, constantly they are going to the principal's office, constantly they are suffering. And I remember this particular one, a few of them, that the teachers advised the parents that these are not school materials. So take these kids out of school, they should go and learn the trade. And because where I grew up is a small community, we know each other. I know some of the students that had to leave school. And we have some of them, especially ladies, what's the next thing? Get married, start having children. Then for guys, two things. Either you get into business or you see them getting into drugs. So when I started working and seeing this amazing progress and the great things that children with dyslexia can do, I told myself that, you know what, lesson, you may not have been able to help your peers then because you didn't know better. But now that you know what dyslexia is, you're going to use all of your energy, every breath that God has given you to ensure that people know more about this and that individuals and children with dyslexia are empowered. So that is a summary of what we stand for and why I do what I do. Thank you.
Beautiful, amazing, amazing, amazing. And I love what you said is how do I multiply myself so that the work can continue? And I feel like that's what all of us, and I see from everybody's page, like we always want to impart knowledge and so that we can multiply the awareness, the advocacy, and the support that we are all doing. And so it's so beautiful that we're here. But if somebody is listening to us today, we are on Dyslexia Global Conversation. Maybe they chanced on us on our social medias and stuff, and they are wondering, what is dyslexia? What are these people talking about? And all that. So it just dawned on me that we'll go to Coach Lola for her to give an overview of dyslexia, and then I will pick another person to ask some more something details, and then we can continue our conversation. So, Miss Lola, if you can do us the favor, if you can give us some education on dyslexia and related learning disability in 4 minutes plus. Yes.
1 minute, and I'm going to do this real quick. I was thinking of that. Thank you so much. You did introduce yourself, Miss Rosalind, so we need to hear who you are. But thank you for hosting us today. I like you to
Thank
put
you.
it really simple. There's several definitions, several, you know. But the simplest one that I like to say, and I'm going to make it really real without reading any grammar to you, is it's an inexplainable condition or situation where an individual cannot, is unable to read, write, spell, speak sometimes, yeah, like quite, I mean, speaking the way syntaxes and all that, communicate effectively. And sometimes it affects executive function, the ability to plan what would I do first, second, and all of that, despite the fact that this person is smart. Can you see that? You cannot explain this person is smart. Yes, he's struggling with reading, writing, speaking, executive, making choices, what should I do first, second, and all of that. So that is what it is. But my issue is because whenever I hear people talk about any kind of disability in a derogatory way, I feel very offended, and I feel like I'm also special, if that's what you want to say, or I'm also dyslexic, because I always say to people in a very simple manner that the weakest form of action that a human being will exhibit is being mean to a person that is helpless. Now, this individual we talked about with dyslexia, this is beyond, they can't even explain. And the best you can do is call their names or look down on them and also always support them. We can do better. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Miss Lola. And yes, you did mention I did not introduce myself. My name is Rosalind Abigail Trenate, and I am the founder of Africa Dyslexia Organization. My journey is quite young. It's just 3 years old, and I came into this when I discovered 7 years ago that I'm dyslexic, and it was a time of shift for me because for the longest time I had accepted that I was very bad when it comes to academic. Like because I was called names like lazy, damn, you will not be good academically, you don't like to learn, and all sorts of things. And so when I found out 7 years ago, for me it was a sign of relief for me. However, it was also sad knowing that I wasn't the only student at the time who wasn't good. And some of my mates couldn't march on to progress in life and they had to stop on the way. And I asked myself, how many children or how many people stop on the way in this journey if somebody is not doing anything? And looking back to see that my dad is an educationist who is a very fantastic teacher, but didn't know about dyslexia and related learning disability. And he was one of the people who was quite disappointed in me because he felt like I'm smart and my child needs to be smart. And so if he didn't know, then I assumed that a lot of teachers didn't know. And so when I started doing my qualitative research of asking the knowledge base of teachers in Ghana and understanding what they know about dyslexia, and the answer was probably no, 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 no. And sometimes I'm the first person to mention the word dyslexia to a very high person in education institution. And I'm like, what are we getting wrong? And so I set on to start the Africa Dyslexia Organization. And, you know, as a dyslexia organization, the community is so fabulous that that moment you just connect with one to everybody here. We connect, and everybody has been so supportive of the journey that I am on with Africa Dyslexia Organization. And we felt the need that it is time for us to come together so that we can make our voice more amplified on the continent. And so what you see here is we hanging out as sisters and brother and looking at even attracting more of people who are doing things on the continent to come together so we can have one voice and be able to kind of advocate for the need of the children who are in the classroom, that we are name calling blockheaded, we are name calling and letting them kind of stop their life just because of their inability to perform academically. We are losing a lot of talent on the continent. And if you're an educator listening to us today, we hope that you have a mind shift and take something, a lesson from here today, so that you can join us. Take the training that Coach Lola and Blessing have ongoing. All of us have different trainings going. Get in touch with any of us and avail yourself. They have so many incredible resources. Most of them are even free. And most time when they will charge is even peanuts. Please invest in your teachers because it is needed. Don't be the one to shut somebody's dream down. And so that's why we are here today. And I'll go to Blessing. Blessing, Coach Lola has given us kind of an interesting angle, simple, very simple explanation of what dyslexia and related learning disabilities are. But if you can tell us some of the signs we can see, and this will be just the highlight of what dyslexia is about, so that in case somebody is listening to us and they don't know what we are talking about, it gives them an angle of where we are. Then we can go into our own back to our own personal conversation. So, what are some of the signs we can spot in a child? Do we need a child or an adult to kind of sense that this person may be struggling with learning difficulty?
Okay, thank you so much. And I'm trying to remember. Yes, I remember the word Coach Lola uses in her book, The Dyslexia Bible. And I really love that particular word. And she says characteristics of children or individuals with dyslexia. And I love the fact that she used characteristics and didn't go with signs and symptoms like it's a disease. And for a very long time, I've been looking for a word, and I was happy to find that word. Because when you talk about dyslexia, one of the things I've been trying to share with lots of teachers is that don't only look at the negative side in quote of dyslexia, because when you're talking about dyslexia in total, there is also an advantage of having dyslexia because it has to do with you thinking differently. And I think one of the reasons why children suffer in our community is not because they have dyslexia, but it's because they have not received the right help that they need. I'm saying that because if you're a kindergarten teacher here, right from kindergarten, you can start seeing red flags for dyslexia. But sadly, what happens in kindergarten classes is that when teachers see some of these red flags, guess what they say? They say, well, he's just in kindergarten, he's just in nursery, preschool. By the time he gets to class one, two, three, he'll be fine. While that is actually the right time the child should start getting help. But you know what we do? We wait until they are in grade three, and most times until it's time to get into secondary school. And then you see the parents start looking for help everywhere. So, in mentioning the signs, I want to first of all let us know that people with dyslexia have amazing gifts. When you talk about the dyslexic brain, it has intelligence. It has, I mean, I don't know if some of you watching are aware that we have about, okay, Coach Lola, it's only you and I that are not dyslexic here. So we have everyone here, yes, because I know Jeranjie, you told me, yes, has mild dyslexia. Doni does, Roslyn does, and Sandra does, Phyllis does. And look at the amazing work they're doing. So when we talk about the characteristics of dyslexia, I always love people looking at it, first of all, from the amazing part, because those are characteristics too. You know, look at the amazing work they're doing. So when you look at it from that picture, you won't even ask questions like, does dyslexia have a cure? So I told someone that if you're talking about dyslexia having a cure, you're also saying that that creativity that they have goes away when dyslexia goes away as well. So which one do you want? Do you want dyslexia to stay or you want it to go away? So first of all, when we talk about the characteristics, look at the amazing side, okay, and the amazing work they can do. Then now the little part of it, which is what they struggle with. And they struggle with that because they don't have the right help that they need. If they receive that right help from the beginning, I tell you, you really might not notice that struggle, except they tell you that they're struggling. So you have kids in kindergarten who we know the basics are having issues learning their letters, they're having issues learning their sounds. And like I said, please disclaimer, we're talking about red flags. We're not saying if a child is struggling, they are automatically dyslexic. All right. So what we're saying here is that if they are having these struggles, that's what it is. They are struggling and they are showing red flags for dyslexia. And they can receive help, even if they are individuals with dyslexia or not. But please do not go around terming anybody or any child dyslexic because they have some of these challenges that I'm mentioning right now. So from the kindergarten, you see them struggling with learning their letters, learning their sounds, learning rhymes, because I mean during that period of their age, that's where you see kids learning Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, learning ABC, and it's so easy for the other kids, right? But then you realize that for kids who are showing red flags for dyslexia, it can be quite hard. And then when they start getting older into grade level, when they start writing, you're beginning to see that, oh, okay, they are beginning to invert their letters. I mean, writing B as D, writing C the other way, writing their numbers the other way. You know, I saw a picture and it really, for me, explained why that happened. There was this chair that was faced the other way. Okay, was first of all faced the right way, and the question was, is this a chair? I said, yes. It was faced left. Is this a chair? I said, yes. It was turned upside down. Is this a chair? I said, yes. And someone explained that that is how it is most times for children with dyslexia, because the D or the B is still looking the same. So for them, it's just like a chair, but it's just turned upside down. So when they get to that part where they're beginning to learn how to write, you see them having those struggles. You also see that their work can be quite messy, and that is because of unsure spelling. You see them keep canceling and trying to write the correct word, keep canceling and trying to write the correct word. You also notice at that particular stage that you teach them a word right now, or a spelling rule, or how to decode and encode a particular word, and the next day they have forgotten, or the next time you're talking about that same word, they have forgotten the pattern that you showed them. That happens, and that is understandable. Usually, I would tell my staff at Dyslexia Help Africa that when these kids forget, you shouldn't get frustrated. I mean, isn't that why we're here? You shouldn't even be surprised because, I mean, when you look into executive functioning, you look into working memory, you understand why they are forgetting. So, your goal here is to ensure that they always remember. And then also comprehension can be quite poor as they keep getting older and older. And why? Because at that point, yes, they are reading, but guess what? They are trying to be so careful to pronounce every word correctly that they are not thinking about the story. So I give an individual with dyslexia a story to read, and they are reading it. You know, they don't want to miss. I am 39 years old and I still have, so they are focused on it. So by the time you're done and you're like, okay, so what's the story about? Uh-oh, they can't remember because they spent all of their time trying to focus in pronouncing that word correctly. And most times when you read that story out to them, and then you ask them, what is the story about? They are able to tell you exactly what the story is about because at this point in time, their brain is not focused on decoding and encoding words. And when I talk about decoding and encoding words, I'm simply talking about spelling words. You're spelling words, you're writing words down. It becomes easier for them because they are not using all of their energy trying to decode and encode. They are now listening to you so they can comprehend. There are still quite a number of signs, but I think I'll stop here because I've spoken a lot already.
So much. Thank you so much for the breakdown on how the early symptoms to kind of watch out for. And I'm glad you mentioned that not every child that is struggling is dyslexic. There's a lot that goes into it to get diagnosed before you can say that. And I always stress on that because if not, then we will have everybody being dyslexic in our classrooms. I would like to give a chance to Abe to come back on and make a brief submission, and then we go. Our time is running fast by, so let's be concise with our response, and we will be out of here very soon. But this is Dyslexia Global Conversation. Thank you all for tuning in. We love the love and all the great comments and the love you're showing us. Please, if you have any questions, you can put them in the chat and we will ask our speakers. So, Abe, you can go ahead.
Thank you very much, Rosie. Thanks a lot. Thank you guys for your patience. I don't have to apologize because we are all Africans and you understand the kind of ordeal challenge I'm
Abe,
going through.
your
Okay.
sound is quite low. We barely could hear you. So if you can speak into the speaker very
Can you hear
well.
me now? Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Can you hear me now better?
Yes.
Thank you so much, Rosie, for the opportunity, and thanks everyone for the patience. I feel like I don't have to apologize for the intermittent internet connection because we are all Africans, and you understand the kind of challenge I'm going through right now. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. We're struggling, but we can.
All right. Okay. How about now?
You can go ahead.
All right. I don't want to. I mean, this is a very lively discussion. I've been following uh, my sisters discussing wonderful ideas, concepts about dyslexia, and I would be very, very happy if I could share the experience of dyslexia in the Ethiopian context. But apparently, I mean, it is already like 23 o'clock in Ethiopia now. Can you hear me now? Hello?
Um, Abe, it's a bit hard to hear you. I don't know for my other speakers. Could you hear him?
I was training my
Abe, we
speech.
struggle to hear you, unfortunately. Okay, so we will go ahead and continue the conversation until Abe's network is great. But I know that Coach Lola would need to do her submission very soon because we have our champion in a competition today, and she would need to go and cheer her up. So, Coach Lola, could you please take us through some of the challenges you faced when starting your organization, and how did you overcome that?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Great. So, the first challenge I faced was, of course, the lack of awareness. A lot of people were like, "What are you talking about?" Oh, we know this kind of student, but they're not meant to be in school. Why are you bothering yourself about them? They can't learn. Why are you stressing about them? This was some of, even with the Ministry of Education, it was like, why are you doing what you're doing? Are you sure? Isn't that a waste of time? But knowing, because of course I just finished my master's in my diploma was in Master of Art in Teaching Special Education, and I knew that the percentage of students with dyslexia, learning disability, was far higher than any other disability, because in every classroom there's one child or the other facing that challenge. But like I've always told myself that it might be a bend, but a bend, there's END in the word bend. We're talking about letters and spelling. That BEND makes bend, but it's never the end. It's just an END there. So I didn't give up. I went ahead to research, to see, like everyone else here did, to see what organizations were out there working with children with dyslexia. But to my dismay, I kid you not, I couldn't find. I found a lot of organizations that was working with children with autism. So the first thing that came to mind was, like I said, go out there, thank God for the power of social media. It makes it a global world. Go out there, share information about the training, do a survey. Do you know about dyslexia? Do you want to know about it? What would you do and all that? Went ahead, I did that. And of course, most of those things we do, we just like to keep quiet about it. But funding is always an issue. A lot of us, personal funding, families, I remember going to our schools, our government schools, and saying, look, we'd want your teachers to come in for free and to come and learn about working, because we did a survey to find out what schools, what teachers were aware of what dyslexia is and how they can support. And the feedback was not encouraging at all. Like I said, some schools really, the principal said, what are you doing? Those words are not meant to be in school. We don't teach those kind of students. Imagine such words. So it costed us a lot. And one of the requirements was, if you can fund them for transportation and feeding, why not they'll come? We did that. We didn't deter us from doing what we had to do. We did that. We got them together, and we kept pushing, kept searching for organizations outside of Nigeria who were doing that's the organization that was doing what we're doing, and seeing how we could put our synergize and just keep pushing, because I believe there's power in number. And so we kept on doing that. And today, I would say the story is quite different in Nigeria, if because we decided to continue what we're doing, despite the fact that there were a lot of discouragement. People were not willing, even parents would be like, no, that child needs to go for spiritual deliverance. But we kept on pushing, we kept on creating awareness every day. I mean, there was no, if you check our website in the last, particularly in the last 4 or 5 years, we kept on pushing out information out there, and people were like, oh, thank you. We've been looking for things like this. So we kept on doing what we had to do, irrespective of the fact that it was not palatable, it was not encouraging. And today, look at us here, founders of Africa Dyslexia Organizations. For me, I think what kept us going was believing that there is a change, there's a possibility for change. We kept researching, we kept looking for people that would speak the same language with us, so to say. And we also, like I said in the beginning, not only do we thought, how smart can we make this, beyond how far can we travel? We decided to write a book on dyslexia, just explaining in the cultural context, because if you look at it, there's several ways dyslexia will present itself, even in Nigeria, with people from Igbo, Yoruba, and Hausa community, and look at Africa, the West African, East African, all of that. So looking deeper, doing more research on how does it affect intersectionality and all of that. Just kept pushing and collaborating. So for me, persistence, the belief that there's hope for individuals with disability was the first drive. Persistently, irrespective of that, people were thinking, oh, it's not possible. We don't teach this kind of student. Do they exist? We kept on doing what we had to do. We collaborated. We kept on collaborating with different organizations. We put everything we had in it, our sweat, our blood, our funds, to ensure that this is something that has come to stay in our part of the world. And I tell you, personally, again, I didn't just stop there. I'm presently working on my PhD in learning disability and behavioral disorders. So there's always something. We kept on pushing and pushing to change the narrative for our country and for Africa. Thank you.
Wow, 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 wow. Wow, what a beautiful work you're doing. And yes, Coach Lola is not stopping. I can't wait for us to come for the graduation. For me, it's all the resources I'm tapping. I'm tapping you. And then that's all we need. And I love you. So whatever we can do to support the research you are about to embark on for your PhD, you can count on everybody here. Me, I'll make sure everybody partake in that. So you can count on us, and we are ready for you. Thank you so much for sharing. Okay, let's go to Madame Congo. Madame Sandra, can you tell us some of the success story or accomplishments you have made so far in Congo when it comes to Africa Dyslexic United?
Permission to please step out of this meeting. I'll still be listening in, but I have to be somewhere else. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank
I
you so
appreciate you
much.
all for all you do, to our listeners, to everyone joining in. It takes a village. Let's keep doing what we have to do to make the change. I love you all. Thank you. Bye bye.
Love you too. Thank you so much. Yes, Miss Sandra, you can go ahead. Oh,
Yeah. Can
you
you
can
hear
go
me?
ahead. Yes.
Um, when I talk about it, I feel very emotion. I feel very emotion. I always say, I always tell the children, I always come, when I come across any parent who has a dyslexic child, who is dyslexic themselves, I said, I wish when I was younger, I met somebody like me. Because I felt nobody, I was like an alien in this planet, that nobody was like me. There's quite a few stories that sometimes when I share it, I do get overwhelmed. It's quite teary. I'm going to share just a little bit of story. There's one family, they had a wealthy family in Congo. They've got two children. The older one that I've been helping, she's the eldest. I mean, she couldn't even write her own name at all. They realized that her attitude started to change. She became very quiet, observed. She would not talk to any member of the families. It's just like, home does the home task, she goes to bed. She started to withdraw with the family. So they took her to churches, they took her whatever for her to get deliverance. They even started to accuse the girl of being a witch because they think she was under demonic spirit. One day, her mother, God does everything his own timing because I'm a Christian. The mother works outside in Congo. So she watched me. That's why it's so important, guys. You doing amazing work. Don't stop. You're going to save one child's life, not just the education. You're going to save that child's life, physically life, like this, by what you're doing. So the mother watched me, one of the, well-known TV channel or something in the Congo. And I was talking about dyslexia, and I was talking about the symptom, I was talking about the manifestation, everything. She said, that is my daughter. That's my daughter. Something that they've taken her to the very high school in Congo. They took her to the doctors. They've taken her to some deliveries, big churches in Congo, because they thought there was definitely something wrong with them. Then we thank God they got hold of me. And then I've got my team, like I say, they're still in the process of training to have understanding of dyslexia, how they could help these children. They started to work on her, working along with her, teaching her alphabetical, how is it sound and everything. The first time the girl, she raised her hand in the class, the teachers thought he's seen a ghost. He wanted to run away. The girl was answering, first of all, in the class. And the second of all, she could write her name. And then the family, they were so overwhelmed. She couldn't even write her own surname for years. Through my organization, for the teachers that I have on board, she could write her own name. The girl, the smile came back. And then the family, they left me voices saying that, Sandra, I mean, you have changed this girl's life. First of all, you've changed her family's life. And then you open the whole family's eyes to realize there's more children or adults in the family who are affected by dyslexia. They were living in hidden. So that was absolutely rewarding to me, the story that I'll never forget. And, the changes that I bring also in adults' life, the ones that they don't believe in themselves anymore. They want to give up in life. They feel like they are worthless. And, when I come across to them and I talk to them, I motivate them, I see the changes. I call them caterpillar to butterflies. That's what I call them. And, also the young women, so I call them young mothers, they had to escape from education like myself because I wanted to please my parents. I wanted to get married. I wanted to be pregnant. So the only thing that I was good at. And to see those young women, they're not longer thinking about shorting the journeys in life just to become a family because they're struggling with reading and writing. They can become this great woman, like they say Sandra she is. They live the full potential life. That is my achievement, seeing those life is being transformed just because of the work that I'm doing in Congo. Yeah.
Love it. And I always say that, like, for me, being on this journey of advocacy and awareness, I'm like, if only one person's life is transformed, That is the biggest achievement and reward for me. But I do also know that the journey all of us are on is going to touch thousands and millions life, and it's not going to end on only one. And for me, that is the greatest achievement all of us are embarking on. I'm so proud of you, and I'm so happy to call you my sister on this. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Miss
Mhm.
Phyllis, can you share your story in Kenya? What you have been up to? I know that you have gotten a lot going on to even start Rare Gem Talent School. Could you share some of your profound moments with us in a brief?
Thank you so, so much. And I'm excited to hear the beautiful stories people are giving here. And it's so amazing. And I'm, wow. And I keep turning my head because everybody is saying my story, what I've gone through. Um, I'm so excited, but there's something that we have decided or have come up. In fact, this came up with the young person who is dyslexic, a youth, one of our youth ambassadors. He was, his mother was telling him that telling people about his being dyslexic as a disability, and he said, "You know what, ma'am? It is not disability. It is a different ability or hidden ability." So we are changing now our focus to making it a different, not a disability, not a learning disorder, but a hidden ability. So that's why I was showing you our new tagline. It is dyslexia, hidden ability, because we believe that now these children, and if we are we've solved this, or we've talked a lot about it being a disability, but if we change the focus and show people that they look at the positive side of being of dyslexia, then they will be able to find and support and change that narrative, and also help these children with where they are struggling from a positive approach. So this was, I just found it, yes, like during this month of dyslexia awareness, and that has now changed our tagline as a dyslexia is a hidden ability or a different ability, not a disability. Having said that, we as I'm really so happy for the support that you have continued giving. When I was listening to your stories, looks like we are the eldest in this journey, having started a bit longer. So we you have come when the awareness is a bit there. When we started, even the internet was as very poor. So we have gone ahead and started a few things. Like I've said, we started the Reagent Talent School immediately after creating awareness to start the gap. I'm so happy right now. We have started collaborating with the institutions. They are supporting us, and they are now coming forward. Last year, when we had the Dyslexia Awareness Month, and we do the light up of our one of the, like, Go Red for Dyslexia, we invited a vice chancellor from a university. When I was just inviting, I just dropped an email, and he's never had this word before. He doesn't know about it. And luckily, this email went to him, not to the secretary, not to the PA, but it went to his email. And so when he saw it, and he was like, "What is this?" And he decided to come to attend now our event, and he became our guest. And from that day, he decided we are going to collaborate with this organization. And I'm now happy to say that even yesterday we had our light up red, and he actually said we are starting a course at the institution, at
Wow.
the university, to start a course to teach teachers, a certificate course. It does not need to be a lot of approvals, but now what we are doing is that teachers, and it is going to be auditors who are learning this, are learning education. So meaning the teachers who are coming from that university, they will have a certificate of learning. We are going to collaborate that, and we are just going to start, and it is going to start in January. So that is one of our key areas that I've seen our struggles. It's bearing fruit. And we also going to have we have come up with a flip book that has we are preparing the phonic magic book. We are calling it phonic magic book that we are preparing for teachers, for children. And again, the beauty of this book is that it can even be used by children with um, hearing impairment. You do it will have the letters, and it will also have the sign language. So this is something that we are working on. I'm really we've been working, and I'm happy. Rosalind came to our school. She just decided to give us a shock, just make it a visit, and she just dropped in Kenya. We didn't know, and then she came to our school and she has seen what we are doing. So that is one of the things that we are doing. We're also coming with a handbook to explain and to teach us about dyslexia, basically for customized for our market. And these are the struggles that we have. We have now partnered with many organizations, so it has been a journey, and it is I'll tell you that you've been there, but for 13 years I can say that now this is when we are seeing like we have started getting impact. We do workshops, virtual and training, and partnered with even international dyslexia organization. And these are the things that we have pushed. You have to push, you have to continue push, and you don't give up, because as Rora said, um, we've been asked that question: why are you wasting time with these children? What is it in for you? And people don't understand that it's because of what we ask. Like myself, I did not want other children to go through what I went through. And as Rosalind has said, if I can only change one child not to go through the struggles, that is my joy. So these are the things that we are doing. We are doing the workshops. We are even planning now virtual and physical workshop. Those are the things that we are going to do, and help come up, interact with other children, with other people, so that we can collaborate with other people, so that we stop going this journey by ourselves, but have other people join us. What we have also planned is to have a cohort of trainers. We train these teachers, then they come out to go train teachers. Because again, when you train a teacher, there's a trainer, a book, a tagline that say, if you train one teacher, a teacher who understands dyslexia can change the impact, the narrative of the child and the entire family. And so we are focusing on training teachers, and that is where the change is going to come, because they are the people who help the children, who help these children. They are the first gap, and of course, as you all know. So this is what we are doing, focusing on teachers, and also, yeah, assessment and all other things. So yeah, I think I can go on and on and on. It is so exciting to
Thank
continue
you
talking
so
about
much.
that. So,
Wow.
and I want to change. We change the narrative from disability to hidden ability.
Ability.
Oh, that's what you're going to take. Please
I
take that.
love that. I love that. Yes, we need to emphasize on their abilities as well, because sometimes myself as dyslexic, and I'm sure Ladowi, Sandra, Jeranjie, and all will attest. Sometimes we shock our own selves by the things that we are able to do. Yet we are the same people that we were told that we are not able to do anything, and so we want to project that ability part of us. And so, kudos to you, Dyslexia Organization Kenya, for stepping forward on that. There is, I'd like us to just quickly address Michelle. So Michelle is asking, is there a program like this in the USA? I live in New Orleans. Yes, there is International Dyslexia Association in the US that we all tap so much from. And so you have this organization, and I'll make sure to put the link of the IDA in it for you, and you can check them up. And you can also reach out to us anytime if in case you're looking for specific questions. We do also have some specific questions in our chat room, and so we'll come there and answer them as well. But I wanted us to address him before going forward. I'll go to Oladonwi. Oladonwi, in your opinion, what more can be done to promote dyslexia awareness and inclusivity in education in Africa?
You're muted.
Oladonwi, can you hear us? We can't hear you. Okay. So whilst Oladowi is checking her sound, let's go to Jeranjie. Jeranjie, how has your government supported you in your initiatives in Malawi? How has it been? How is the awareness going on at that part?
Say that again, you're breaking.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but there's too much echo there.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. What support has your government given you, the Ministry of Education giving you, or is there any challenges that goes on in your line of work, creating awareness, advocating, and teacher training?
Okay, so like in Malawi, as an NGO, when you're registered, so it's automatically you have to work with the government. So it's pretty much you going to the government and presenting whatever you're doing, so they should know like exactly the area that you're working, what is your interest, and all that. But at the same time, um, the government doesn't really support us. So we pretty much supporting the government, and in like in our instance, we train government teachers. So we are working with government teachers. That's another way of us supporting the government. So we work with our government teachers by training them, providing them with resources. And again, so we're talking of education as a Ministry of Education, and then we have the Ministry of Disability, Gender, and Welfare. So when they have like meetings, seminars, and all that, they would invite us. So it's pretty much like them acknowledging that we're there, but there isn't that agreement whereby the government would come in to say we are going to support you in doing this, or maybe if you have like a conference, we are going to help you with this. There is nothing like that. So that's one of the challenges I think in Malawi. I'm not sure if it's the same with the other African countries, but in Malawi, once you are an organization, the government is expecting you to do whatever you're doing, but they would also want you to be supporting them maybe with the teachers, or going around in schools and doing any other programs that you would want to do.
Wow. Yeah. It's almost like over here as well. One thing that for myself here in Ghana has worked is I'm always like in their face. Like I'm in their face, like asking them, listen to us, this is what is happening. And it hasn't been easy. And I know that it's the same also for Phyllis as well over there. It's not easy. Also because we are touching on a subject that is not well known. You know, when it comes to
Yeah.
we talk about inclusivity, a lot of the schools are seeing physical disability. And
Yeah.
we accommodating people with physical disability means that we are practicing inclusivity, but forgetting learners with learning challenges that you can't see. Looking at me or Ladowi, and then you say that, oh, you have a challenge. Like you, what challenge do you have? We can't see, we can't feel, so you don't have any challenge. And so that's why I see that it becomes difficult for them to put their mind to it. And so these conversations always will help. If they are able to get this conversation and listen in, then they will know that, oh, okay, this is something that we really have to pay particular attention to and give support to these organizations that are doing something. But like our viewers who are listening to us, you also will help us by sharing the links and sharing these resources. Just don't keep them with yourself. Share to your churches, your schools, everywhere. Share so that people are able to understand. And that's how we can get the awareness out there and be able to achieve our aim. And so, Laudo, welcome back. I hope you
Can you hear
remember
me now?
yes.
Oh,
Oh,
great.
I hope
Okay.
you remember your question.
Something about
And
inclusion. Please ask again.
okay, so your question was, in your opinion, how do you think we can amplify awareness of dyslexia in Africa to achieve more inclusivity in our schools?
Okay. So I think that some of the first things that I'm trying to, or I'm hoping that we can do more, is for us to have like a, so in psychology, when we're doing therapy on someone, we always have like a how, if you're doing, if you, someone is taking drugs, for instance, you always have a plan on when you're withdrawing your drugs. Now, what am I trying to say? For adults living with dyslexia, what's our plan for them in the workplace? I think that we should include strategies in our framework that helps adults living with dyslexia, because half their intervention has ended in the primary and the secondary school. There are not a lot of programs for them in the university and then at the workplace, so they end up getting stuck. So I'm hoping that first and foremost we can start to pay attention to that area of things and start to do more in that sense. Now, another thing also, sorry, can you still hear me? Okay, great. Another thing also is hoping that we can start to also look at the psychological impact of dyslexia. I'm currently trying to collaborate with organizations who are like yourself, who are doing trainings in the academic part of it. I'm trying to ensure that I can provide training resource package programs that are psychologically focused, so that when we're teaching intervention to teachers, we're also teaching them how they can identify traumas, how they can pay attention to the psychological impact of dyslexia, because the psychological impact of dyslexia also affects the mindset. So for someone like me who has dyslexia, it was dealing with the psychological impact of it first that encouraged me to then be able to go back to the academic impact of things. So it is very important for us first to also include the psychological impact into the training programs that we do. So that's also something that we're trying to ensure that we can collaborate with organizations who already have the academic curriculums on trainings for teachers to also ensure that they're including that aspect. Now, inclusion on a general scale is also ensuring that we should not give up on getting the government involved in ensuring that, because they have a bigger platform. They're the ones that train the teachers. They're the ones that have the policies. I'm currently in conversations with a group of people who are working to reform the policy on education in Nigeria, and I'm currently advocating for a place for dyslexia. Anytime I talk about dyslexia, they are saying we should look at the disability, that they already have something for disability, but when you look at it, it's for people who have physical disability. So I'm trying to echo the fact that we have people who have dyslexia, we have people who have ADHD, and you would not physically see it. So, if we're going to reform the policy, the curriculum, which is long overdue, we must ensure that we include, a place for them. So, continuing conversations with the government and ensuring that at every level of their planning for education, people living with dyslexia are in the plan, in the ideation, and in the execution, because what currently exists in terms of educational framework, we don't have a place in it. So echoing our voice really, which is why I like this platform where we have the Dyslexia Alliance Africa, where we are also borrowing from frameworks that are in other African countries and seeing how best we can amplify our voice. So yeah, that's pretty much. So a summary is to trying to advocate that we advocates currently in what we do, we should please include the psychological impact of dyslexia even in our training framework. I'm happy to, show you curriculums that I've created in terms of, how we can train teachers to also cater to the psychological impact of dyslexia. We cannot continue to ignore it. And the other thing I was saying is the fact that we should also look to the framework of ensuring that there is a long-term plan for our intervention. So it doesn't just end at early intervention in a primary school and in the secondary school. Blessing connected me with Charles, and we're trying to work on training HR personnels, because they are the first set of people that will come in contact at interview level when someone's trying to enter into the organization. They are also the ones that, if an HOD is having issues with someone on their team due to maybe dyslexia, the HR would hear of it first. So we're trying to engage conversations and do trainings as well, that ensures that they know about dyslexia and they can help. But more broadly, we are also trying to ensure that dyslexics are not seen as, it's not a lazy badge. Dyslexics are not, it's not used as an umbrella for, oh, so I can't do this because I have dyslexia. We're equipping dyslexics with programs like the executive function intervention programs, the study skills intervention programs, so that adults living with dyslexia can thrive. So even when they lack early intervention, they don't have one-on-one tutoring, they can still thrive in the workplace. And it's not a case of an employee is not employer is not employing them because of they lack the skill. We're trying to ensure that they first have the skill. And yes, dyslexia has happened. You were mistreated in school, or you have psychological impact. Let's deal with this and let's move forward. So I'm asking that we should join forces and look at that sector, because we're not really paying attention to post-secondary school area of dyslexia, which is where we're having a lot of depression, substance use. It's a menace, and I'm hoping that we can continue to pay attention to psychological impact of dyslexia. Thank you.
I love that. I love that you touched on the psychological part of it, because for me, being somebody who got diagnosed very late, I feel like I still deal with those emotional traumas that I went through, being scared anytime I'm entering school, being scared when a teacher is coming through. And that scariness follows me through my journey until recently that I am kind of trying to get myself out of it. And a lot of adults are living in with emotional traumas, knowing that, oh my goodness, I don't even want somebody to know that I can't read. And there are some people who don't even know they are dyslexic, but then they have the signs and they don't know what it is, and they are hiding it because they don't want their HR or their director to know their struggles, because I might end up losing my job. And we have a comment here from Miss Hillary, who is one of the advisors of the Africa Dyslexia Organization, and she said, "Yes, dyslexia awareness for HR staffs in the workplace sounds like a very good idea. I have had staffs in my team that I felt needed some kind of help because they may seem slow on specific tasks, but are very agile at other tasks that were not part of their job portfolio. It was like putting a square pegs in round hole. Indeed, HR must identify such people at workplace and assign them to jobs that they will perform great at it." Good point from the current speaker, which is Oladomi. And so this is great, and I have had organization reaching out to our organization as well, kind of asking how can we be inclusive at the workplace. And it starts from the classroom, but at the end of the day, the student graduates and then they seek for a job. And then when they seek for a job, what happens? Do you get it? And so it's a whole chain that we need to really address. Blessing, thank you for coming back. There is a question here that I would like you to address, and it's from Matthew. Matthew says, how can you effectively diagnose a dyslexic adult in the university to bring out the better version of their potential in them using a neuroplasticity as a point?
Okay, thank you. Although I think Ndungi is actually the best person to answer that question, especially because I remember her university journey and everything. Ndungi, do you want to give it a try before I go?
Yes.
Sure.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So it's been found that dyslexia is harder to diagnose as someone gets older because due to neuroplasticity. So neuroplasticity, to give like a context to it, is the fact that our brains are very powerful and they can learn to adjust, which explains situations where you find people who do not have hands have learned to use their legs to write, right? So, so our brains have such enormous power to be able to adapt to situations. And which would also, I'm sure Rosalind can attest to the fact that before she was diagnosed with dyslexia, she was able to at least pick up some abilities in, reading and writing, despite not following like a proper intervention program. And that's because over time, when your brain gets used to seeing something, when you do an activity, it becomes like a compulsive understanding. Not because you most likely might not understand like the basics of it, or you might not even be able to explain how you've been able to figure it out, but somehow you know that you can do it. So that's why it's sometimes harder to diagnose dyslexia in adults, because they've been able to adjust, they've been able to adapt, they've been able to find ways around, coping strategies that they might not necessarily have been conscious of, but they can now do it. So how can you effectively diagnose is by using a lot of strategies. So by ensuring that you're observing, you're using all the psychometric tools that psychometric tools don't lie, and we have lying scale, and they're comprehensive dyslexia trainings. You test for memory, you test for comprehension, you do it back to front to back, and then also take history. Childhood history can also help you tell. So yes, it could be harder to diagnose dyslexia in adults, but with a comprehensive psychometric combination of observation, combination of history taking, you can diagnose dyslexia in adults. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Let me add, I really wanted Donnie to speak on that first because if you heard her earlier, she mentioned that she just graduated. And I think towards the last part of her journey in school, we were kind of close. So I got to hear, firsthand of the experiences she has had as a student in the university. So I felt that she would first be able to give a firsthand experience of that. And I'd like to connect this to this in 2 minutes. About last year, a student in the University of Lagos got in touch with me, and she said, "I think I am dyslexic, and it's getting harder. I know I've always struggled, but of course I've always managed. So nobody knew I was struggling because from primary school it was easier. I mean, so let's all listen to this. From primary school it was easier. I was the only one that knew I was struggling down to secondary school, but I knew my ways around. But she said, I've noticed that as I get higher into academics, things get more complicated. And right now, I'm in 400 level, about writing my project. I'm doing 1,001 things, and I'm so overwhelmed. And I don't even know how to tell this to my family because they've not been with me through the entire journey. They won't understand what is happening now. They might think I'm just being lazy or I don't want to finish up my school, but I would like you to help me. And I started working with her. And guess what we're doing? She would send her handouts to me. We would go through it together. And as we're going through it together, after 3 months, we realized that um, having to map her notes helps her. So the strategy was now that when your lecturer is talking, you map it out or record your notes and then map it out. So she's looking at diagrams instead of just the words. And over time, she realized that, wow, this is way easier for me. Thank you so much, Blessing. So, and like Coach Lola will always say, and when it comes to diagnosis, yes, I'm also very big on diagnosis, but I always say the child is struggling, everyone should, even an adult, everyone should be empowered on how to help that child, on how to help that individual. So, for instance, when we talk about teachers in primary school and we talk about professors in tertiary institution, even if you don't have the diagnostic tool, do you understand what dyslexia is? And can you help these individuals find the best way that they learn? Because, like we always say, it's not that people with dyslexia cannot learn, but they learn differently. can you accommodate them? So if you're diagnosed with dyslexia in the tertiary institution. I mean, for me, at that stage, is even better because you can explore to know what your weaknesses are, to know what your strengths are, and then to focus on your strength. And I'll round up with this example. I had an adult who met me 2 years ago, and she was like, "Blessed, I'm suffering in my place of work. My boss keeps complaining. I keep making errors in the documents I need to write, and all of this. And listening to you, I think I am dyslexic, you know." And she kept struggling on that job. But guess what? Being dyslexic helped her. It helped her to figure out her strengths and her weaknesses. And then she stopped that job and got a better job in the Korean embassy where she works as a tourist. So she's really not writing, but she's so creative at talking about the Korean culture, taking the people around, and she's enjoying her job. So one of the benefits I believe that adults have when they are diagnosed with dyslexia is that you can now begin to make choices that align more with yourself. Sometimes it might even mean stopping that course you're currently studying and starting something at first that you're more comfortable with. So you're right now like the driver of your life, and you can look at your strengths, your weaknesses, and decide that, see, I'm going to focus more on my strength, and this is my strength. Even if it means, look, I'm in 300 level, but I'm going to go back to 100 level now and do what I love to do. So take charge of your life as an adult and go for what works for you best. Go where your strengths are aligned. And of course, we have amazing adults here who have dyslexia that can help you. So you can reach out to them. They'll tell you their story. They'll tell you the decisions to make. Rosalind discovered she was dyslexic at when she was way, way older. So we have people here who have gone through what you're going through, and they can give you the perfect example and the perfect pathway. Just get in touch. Thank you, Rosalie.
Yes, just get in touch. Thank you all for the great submission on that question. I have nothing to add to that because you've done justice to it. But we have a very interesting question here, and I don't know if it would be attempted by both Sandra and Coach Lola. And then I have another one for Phyllis as well later. But someone is asking, how can we address the issue of discrimination among learners, considering that most learners with dyslexia are likely to be laughed at due to their struggling in reading and writing? Of course, this I have experienced this so many times. So, Sandra, would you like to go? How can we address the issue of discrimination when it comes to our learners who struggles in school? And Coach Lola, later you can add something if you can talk.
What I always say, what's is lack of I would
Sandra, we
say.
cannot hear you well.
Can you hear me now? Sorry, I'm charging my phone is about to die,
She
so
might
I'm
need to
charging.
log
Okay.
out and come back.
Yeah. I always say I'm gonna set a little example in UK here, because there's a group here is set up for adults only who are affected by dyslexia. We come talk about our journeys, the struggles we have every day at workplace, in our relationship, any type of struggle we have. Maybe somebody's able to help. It's basically helping one another. So they were talking about, one day there was one guy, because as Blessing was saying, as dyslexic, we have this structure in our head. If every day you go to platform, example UK, platform 5, that's where your train is. Confusion, it does muddle us up, because we used to structure. This is how it should be. If there's anything changes, it does is a very confusing. And then there's a platform was changed. He didn't know where he was going. He was lost completely. He went to ask the guard. He said, "Can you help me? I need to go to whatever, whatever." He says, "You're so, but it's there. Can you see it?" So he was so hurt in a way. He was about to cry. And then he came to talk about it in a group. But we realized the only way sometimes we need to let people know about dyslexia, having the dressing the awareness, making people understand. Many people out there, they still living in denial. I always say, meeting a person in a wheelchair, when you come across a person in a wheelchair, the lift is not working, and then you find it easier, but they're going to ask you, "I need help." If the person said, oh, you could try your best, no. You need to explain to them, make them understand. We are people who are affected, who have understanding of this dyslexia. We need to be the ambassador to educate others out there. Because if you don't speak out, if you don't let people understand the condition, they're still going to be behaving in a certain ways are behaving. They're still going to be acting in the way they are acting. I don't blame those people, and I think we have a responsibility to be out there, to make people understand, to address more awareness, to make those people understand, so they have understanding. We've got our platforms, we've got our TVs, we've got our family members. That's why I say, talk to your neighbor about dyslexia. You never know. They might pretend, but they're gonna come across as somebody out there. They say it's out. Is it 10 out of 2 or something? I believe that saying it's not enough. There's more dyslexic out there than you could possibly think in the world. You'll be surprised. That's why every time, and I thank God the boldness that he has given me. He has taken that shy away for me to talk about my dyslexia. Every time I come across anybody, I mean, good luck to you. I always have something to say about dyslexia, and I know the word that I have is going to change your the vision about somebody could not read and write. It's also going to save someone's life. So it's about just being out there, keep talking about it, making people understand, and it just that's the only way to stop that stigma of dyslexia. Mm.
Thank you so much. That's so beautiful. Yeah, we get to talk about it. We need to amplify the awareness on it to really get the word out there. So thank you so much for adding your voice to that. Coach Lola, do you have anything to add to that?
Thank you so much for. Can you hear me? Great. Thank you, Sandra. It feels so good hearing from the horse's mouth, if I can use that phrase. I mean, I don't know what that's called it. But because you're living it, it's easy for you to share, and thank you for sharing that. Two things I'm gonna speak about, and it's from top to bottom to top approach. We need to do better at college of education, where we say teachers. And this issue is a universal issue. Like I was speaking to some of my colleagues and they're looking at research and how to tell that the trainers, like the faculty, the professors that teach individuals teach, that teach the teachers, like free service teachers, on how to work with children with learning disabilities, particularly dyslexia. And the survey showed that even the strategies, that the frameworks that work for these children, a lot of professors do not even have not heard of it, and if they have, a good number of them just know it. They don't know, for example, when you talk about universal design for learning, which means of multiple means of representation, multiple means of action and engagement, multiple means of expression. They're like, oh, well, what are the elements? How can I, if this child cannot write, what can I do? There's several, about 9 elements under those the the framework itself, the principle itself, and the effect showed that a good number of them were like, oh well, we didn't think it would be important, and then they felt it wasn't that important, and then we looked at the teacher training colleges and the teachers themselves, and they were like, well, we know, but we were not taught to really the practicality of it. How do we make it practical for these children? So from the top itself, we need to do more beyond the awareness we're doing. We need to go into colleges of education, create awareness, show them practical ways, how they can ensure that teachers themselves first understand what it is and how they can accommodate, how they can use different framework, research-based frameworks that can help the students. So they need to accept what dyslexia is. They need to accept the various frameworks that work for their site, some other, like, yeah, we know that social literacy work, we know that, some other, I mean, the pedagogy itself, how do we make it work in the classroom? Like a collaborative learning and all of those, group learning and all of that. I believe that when the teachers now understand what it is and appreciate the strength and the various ways you can work with children with learning disabilities, then we can now go back to the classroom to the peers themselves. If our teacher understands that this child is good with certain, for example, let me give an example of a child who maybe the child loves art, office, for example, you look everything about office or cars, for example. Everything I do in my class will be exhibiting a strength in that way that, okay, whatever I do in the class, I could say, okay, it's time for us to talk about artists. Saturday, why don't you talk to us about artists? Or if you love to draw, we make us draw as opposed to write, flexible means of a different ways of doing things. I tell you the truth, the world has gone beyond reading. I mean, I'm impressed. So people don't score based on grade first, second, or third. it's your different ways of expressing what you know that the world is looking out for right now. The education has gone beyond first, second, and third position and all that. What are the skills you have to offer? So imagine me bringing out that skill in that time. People are like, oh wow, she's so good at drawing. Oh wow, look at that. They will appreciate her for who she is. They will look beyond the dyslexia itself, but they will see the other strengths she has got. And it shows that you might have this skill, I might be getting that skill, but we'll have something to bring to the table. So I feel those are some ways we can look at how their peers can also appreciate them and work with them with their own strength and not looking at, oh, because you can't write, you're nobody. No, you may not be able to write, but you say everything about the issue of how horses are born, how they're, if they need to be, how they're fed, what works for horses and all of that. And that's another way for learning. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Jeranjie, I would like to find out from you what strategies or initiatives, has your organization implemented to raise awareness about dyslexia in Malawi? Jeranjie, can you hear? Oh, sorry. Hello?
Hello.
Yeah, Jeranjie, what
Mhm.
initiatives does your organization do to raise awareness and give support in Malawi?
Come again? You're breaking.
What initiatives or strategies does your organization do to raise awareness and give support in Malawi?
Oh, okay. All right. So, one of the things that we do is our capacity building. So, like I said, in Malawi, once you have an organization, you have to work with the government. So, meaning most of the teachers that we work with, they are government teachers. So, we train government teachers to know more about dyslexia, so that when they go to their zone, we call it a zone. We call them zones here. So, a zone would mean maybe 20 schools or 15 schools. So you have like a specialist teacher with 15 to 20 schools. So yeah, what we're doing is training the teachers to train other teachers to go to other schools or in the communities to raise awareness of dyslexia. So that's pretty much what we were doing with the government teachers, but also we're doing it within communities that surround us or the communities that we visit. So we have like families, parents, caretakers as well that we trained to raise awareness in their communities.
Oh, beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you so much. Is there any support that currently your organization need? What kind of support? If there is one or two supports you feel like your organization need right now to really thrive, what will it be, Jeranjie?
Um, well, well, I think I'm a believer of working with others or learning. And I'm always like looking out for people who are doing certain things that I'm not doing. So you talk of the resources, like Oladoyin was talking about the curriculum that she's doing. That would that is a very important thing, because sometimes we just look at the money. I like everyone here, I'm sure they want money. They just want someone to come and give them the money. But yeah, I think resources are the things that once you educate one person, that one person will educate another one. So if they are able to have the information, or rather say knowledge, if they have that knowledge, I think that's one of the greatest to any teacher would want to have, or any country would want to have. So first, the resources, yes, they are more than welcome. Yeah, the money part, yes. if someone can just give me like, here is I'm sure I'll do a lot. I'll do a lot with that. Yeah, because sometimes you would have plans. Say, oh, if I had money, maybe I would build this. If I had money, maybe I'll train more teachers. If I had money, I would do. Like, I have love for passionate teachers, and most of the teachers that I have connected with, these are teachers who are actually using their resources to do anything that we're doing. Like, we don't give them any money, we don't give them anything. Maybe t-shirts, because we are going for an awareness, and then we just have to be in a uniform, and then we would wear the same t-shirts or whatever. Yeah, but I love passionate teachers, whereby where like, when once you give them the knowledge, then they're going to go far with that knowledge. So yeah, there are a lot of things that I can point out, but I think knowledge is power. So first, that would be the resources, like anything and everything that other organizations are doing that we can learn from. That would be amazing.
And I think that is also needed among all of the organizations here. We need the resources and we need the money, because the money can make us work faster. So, our listeners, if you're listening and you're touched, please check on our websites, see the beautiful work we are all doing, and find a way that you can support us one way or the other. I don't know if Litang can hear me. If you can, please let me hear from you, because I cannot see you. And so I don't know if you can hear us.
Yes, I
And that
can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes. We are just about wrapping up, but you can
Uh,
introduce yourself and the work you're doing in Botswana
yes,
for us briefly.
yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we are doing, yes, we are doing a lot of things. We are always busy. We are doing teacher training. We are doing awareness. We are doing assessment. We are doing skills transfer. We are doing development of arts in dyslexic. We are doing advocacy. We are also placing dyslexic in universities and vocational schools. We are also advocating for access arrangements. We are really doing a lot of things in Botswana. I don't know what is it that I have left out, but um, because our mandate and our objectives are so broad, our NGO is structured such that nobody's going to be left behind, from a child to an adult who is living with dyslexia. Did you hear that?
Yes.
Mm. Okay.
Absolutely. Love,
Oh,
love,
what?
love the work you're doing. You have more to add?
I have what?
You have more to
More to
add.
add. Oh yes, because I joined late. I wanted to say also that our government is very, very supportive, especially where initiatives are coming with locals. Our government has supported us because we've been existing only for 3 years, and so far, I think the first 2 weeks we were able to get a funding from the European Union in Botswana, and a whole lot of other organizations. So our government is really, really supportive. And so far we have helped uh, over many students to have access arrangement. And I think for me, the highlight of my career as somebody that is helping people with dyslexia is when a parent will send me a message and show me a report of a child that couldn't read, but now they can get an A. And
Wow.
Nadine says the child that has been now, the child has moved from a D, they are now at an A, or to have a headmaster say, hey, Miss Jiri, can you come here and show with us how you help this kid? That is the most exciting thing for me. And of course, I must say also that Kenya has been there from way back from when I discovered about dyslexia till date. And they've helped us with loads and loads and loads of awareness and training. So that is that. And now I think what we need as an organization, our greatest need now is uh, classrooms. We want to build more classes because we received a donation from the local banks, but the classes are not enough. But next year, we want to have a whole stream, like from grade 1 to 7. We need more classes and to increase our ablution blocks. I think that is what we need right now, and those are the things that we are currently fundraising for. And also, we are also fundraising for our dyslexics that we have managed to place in vocational centers. We are fundraising for them so that they can start at their own workshops. Now these are adults. Yeah, thank you. I think that's just that.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Wow, I love that your government is behind you. And this is a lesson to the different countries that we are here, Malawi, Congo, Nigeria, Ghana, Tanzania, Ethiopia, all the African countries. I hope you can learn something from Botswana. Support we are giving to our sister over there. If we should get that support everywhere, the work we're doing will be so beautiful on the continent, and it will be amazing. Especially like Felix and Nancy in Kenya, there for like 13 years, for example. We expect a lot will happen from their governments and they will receive the support that they need. But that's also why we are here. If we have one voice and we go in one order, I'm sure we can achieve something great. Someone is asking a question. I don't know if Phyllis, you are able to take this question. It says, what measures can be put in place to deal with dyslexia as a global challenge?
Um, Thank you, and I'm happy that my Dyslexia Kenya has continued in, uh, being talked about. Everybody has mentioned Dyslexia Kenya. You see, we are the firstborn, and I'm happy. How what measures can be put in place to deal with dyslexia as a global challenge? um, what happens is that we have different education system, but there is one structure that is very, very powerful, that if organization or schools or people can, teachers or even government can embrace this challenge, it will help by helping the children, because basically dyslexia is a difficulty in reading. If these people have their reading difficulties is addressed early, and we have seen here, they will overcome their challenge, they will overcome their 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 raw self-esteem, and become their own advocate. So globally, is if the organization like have gone forward and have done the research, if other organization can have use that research, you do not have to reinvent the wheel. The government embracing that research and applying it and using that information that has been researched somewhere else, and just coming and looking at what the gap there is within their country. You do not reinvent the wheel. So then you'll find the a person with dyslexia in US and in UK and in Congo, in Tanzania, in wherever they are, they have similar characteristics. So we do not have to reinvent the wheel. We use the same strategies, even the strategies that are working in other countries. Look at them and see how we can apply them here. In Kenya or in Africa, we may have the challenge that in most of the cases, there are children who are considered dyslexic, but they may not actually have dyslexia. But because English is their second and third language, if they may not be acquiring the phonologicals and ability to read, and but I'm not saying dyslexia is only in English. Please, it is not in English, it is in reading. But there, because of a lot of focus on English, and there may be thought to be dyslexic, but they may not be dyslexic. If the reading is addressed early, using the structure, the multisensory method of reading, that can help. I'm saying that government in Africa, or us as the readers or in this now field of dyslexia, we do not reinvent the wheel. We borrow what others are using and apply it and see where do we need to just provide the gap. What is the difference between there? What can we apply? What can we customize and be able to use it, and then we go forward? That's what I would say. We can address it as a globally by using the resources and researches that have been used to apply in our country. Maybe someone else may have another idea.
Thank you so much. And I just want to remind our listeners that this is Dyslexia Global Conversations. And today we are hanging out with founders, fabulous founders of dyslexia organizations on the continent of Africa. And we've just been talking for the past almost 2 hours now, sharing what we are all doing in different ways to support our learners who are struggling with reading and other form of learning challenges as well. We have here Jeranjie from Dyslexia Malawi, Phyllis from Dyslexia Organization Kenya, Oladonwi One World Africa, Sandra from African Dyslexic United, Letang from Guardian of Dyslexics, and Blessing Dyslexia Help Africa, and myself, Africa Dyslexia Organization. Other two are struggling to join due to technical challenges, but we will be cementing our conversation very soon. And if you can see on the screen, I have put a link there, which is the Dyslexia Fellowship. If you can copy this link, it's basically calling out for people who would like to be trained to start raising awareness in your community little by little. We're looking for the first cohort, looking for 2 people in each African countries who you're going to be working. If there is already a dyslexia organization in your country already, you're going to be working hand in hand with them. And look at all these faces. They are all going to be training you because they'll become our facilitators on it. And so please copy the link. And if you are in Ghana, you can see this link also is a research that is ongoing on to kind of get the knowledge based understanding of what teachers know about dyslexia and related learning disabilities. Once you're able to copy this link, you can send us your survey for us to understand what is going on. And this research can also be applicable in other countries as well. So please support the work that we are doing. And I encourage you to pick the name of all our speakers and the organization that they represent so that you can follow them, research the work they are doing. If you have any support, if you are in Nigeria, wherever you are, and you have any support for any of us, please, you're welcome to bring in that support. We need you, as you can hear. So I will go back to my speakers whilst we get ready to kind of end our conversation. I would like to find out from each of you, and I'm going to start with Jeranjie. What do you aspire to see as Africa Dyslexia organizations? What do you aspire to see that we can do together in a collaborative way to keep championing these affairs? Jeranjie, you can answer that. And all of us are going to answer this question.
I didn't hear anything. What did you say?
Okay. So I asked you, what do you aspire to see as Dyslexia Organizations United? What do you hope to see we do together to kind of come together, champion this journey together? What do you want to see? You still cannot
Oh,
hear me.
I would want to see Africa being transformed. Well, we've already started. I mean, we can see the change. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Jeranjie, we can hear you. Okay, can any other person go? I
Can
think
you
her
hear
network
me?
is disturbing. We can hear you.
Can you hear me now? Yeah? Okay. So what I'm saying is like change is here. I can see change already. We've started well, and I know that we're going to go far. And I know that we're going to have the same policies like Africa in whole. And I know that our government will start supporting us. We have to push for that. Our government has to be like Botswana. So if we work together and we have the same goal, and I'm sure the other countries will adopt what Botswana is doing, um, and we're going to have like all the other colleges and universities having their dyslexia as a course. Of course, like all the teachers should, it should be a compulsory way by all the teachers should know about dyslexia if we come together and push this forward. My network is
Thank,
bad, huh? I don't know if you can hear
thank
me.
you. We can hear you. Yeah. Okay. Phyllis, you can go.
Um, we have seen copying from seeing what in International Dyslexia Association has done or has been doing. They bring people from across mainly US. So I would wish to see, and I'm looking forward to when Africa will have its own organization and that will be bringing our own researches, our own teaching methods, because we may have different teaching curriculum, but at the same time, we are addressing the same challenge. So we maybe in a point that we can sit, have a continuous conferences that we are bringing researchers involving the universities and even teaching methods that are applicable to African child that are relevant and aligned to the African child. That's where I'm looking at, and this is now on us. We need to start now thinking about having conferences, we involving the universities, using I don't know whether this is what happens in your country, but you find there are a lot of researches that are done by the university students during their masters and their PhDs and their whatevers, but that information is not actually some just do for passing the exam or for finishing that particular project curriculum. So if it is possible to just use that, uh, get the researches that are done and apply them. If you ask me in this country, I when I was doing my research about dyslexia, the first research I saw someone had done or mentioned something about dyslexia was a research that was done in 1978 by a student who was doing something at University of Nairobi. And then what happened between that time and now when we started talking about dyslexia? You can see the gap. So Africa, we need to be serious, do the research and apply that research. And we are the drivers now since we have come to this part, having a united conference where we will be doing conferences and bringing teachers across board. Having that, what Rosalind has, and I'm really looking forward to copying that, education stakeholders forum, where we bring education stakeholders on one table at one place, them discussing about a child with dyslexia and other invisible learning difficulties. That is my vision.
Thank you so much for that. And I have kind of putting that question also on the screen. Both Blessing
Um,
Oladomi, you're going to answer the
let me-
question over.
before
Okay, okay, we have all the hands up.
Can you hear
Okay,
me?
okay, let's Phyllis finish and then we come to all of you.
Okay.
yeah,
Phyllis,
yeah, I'm just looking at one question that somebody has asked, and this I happen to know this lady, or she's a habit. It's called Steph. How do you help those with dyslexia finish? Okay, I understand her question is that how do we help those with dyslexia and have finished school to become employable or do thing. The youth who have finished school and get a job or get something for themselves. Do they need really to be employed or can they do something by themselves? We do that question. Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to address that question before we leave. We are going in sequence.
Sawa, thank you. Thank you.
Okay. All right. So, Oladonwi, how do you see dyslexia landscape evolving in Africa in the coming years, and what role do you envision your organization in this evolution as part of Dyslexia Alliance Africa family? Oladovi, are you there?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, perfect. So echoing the words of Jeranjie and Phyllis is the conference. Having a yearly conference would be great. Applied research also, applied research so that everything we're doing is evidence based. All of the things that we do now, all the research that we depend on is research that is done internationally, and we have cultural context that is peculiar to us as Africans. So, having more research that we can apply would be great. Then also, if we can develop an African trust fund or a funding that is, within us, that we can then use to support the work that different organizations are doing. That would also help to, because together you have your crowd, you have your crowd, you have your crowd. Together, if we decide to start a trust fund, we can call the attention of all of the people that we know to donate to that. That would get us more funding as opposed to individual funding, trust fund, or raising funding, things like that. So with that, we can have everybody submit applications on a project they're trying to do, and then we select based on priority, and join hands together to also execute that. Things like that would be something that I would really love for us to do together as a family.
Oh, thank you so much. And I love the trust fund. I think we don't have that on our working document. So we have to make sure we capture that there. And if you are listening in and you are kind of seeing Dyslexia Alliance Africa, what it is and all that, is because we have come together and we feel like we want to have a continental organization where, even though we have our individual organizations, we want to be under one umbrella, and also will help us to kind of streamline things and really make it in a way that we become regulators of of organizations on the continent, so that it helps us to position everybody who wants to also start an organization and all the best practices, collaborating on different projects as on the continent of Africa. And so that's why, if you're wondering what this Alliance Africa is, that is what it is about. And we have been having series of meetings about it throughout the year, and kind of building a slow foundation. And so watch out to us, because we will be in all your faces very soon. Okay. Let's go to Blessing and we go to Madam Sandra. I think they want to touch on this question over there, and then we can be getting out of here. Blessing, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. So I believe that together we can do more. Somewhere in the Bible it says that one person can chase a thousands, right? But then two can chase 10,000s. I mean, so when we come together, we're able to do more. And what I see in the coming years, I see us having these global conversations physically and having it in different countries. And I was just imagining that October we'll have one in Ghana, everyone across Africa will come, and then we're having Kenya next time, everyone will come, and then we're having Congo, and then Nigeria, and then everyone will come. And I also see this fellowship that you started really getting big, where we are sponsoring people, one, to come for these global conversations that we'll be having, and then to really get trained. So I see these conversations that we're having in the future, conversations that the world wants to be a part of, because by the time they hear, okay, there is an African Dyslexia Conference happening somewhere in Kenya, happening in Ghana, and you see the whole world coming together to hear what is happening. And I also see this fellowship that you've started going, just beyond Ghana, but globally, becoming one of the biggest fellowships, like the Mandela Fellowship, where we are championing a cause, and we're also rewarding educators, for being so committed and faithful to children with dyslexia. I see us doing so much as we come together, because together we can do more. And believe me, the future for the dyslexia community here in Africa is so bright. Like Phyllis would always say, and you would also always say, and Rosalind, we have so many talents here, but you know what we do? When they start struggling in school, we kick them out, and we do not nurture the abilities, the strength, and what they have to offer to Africans. And by the time we start nurturing this gift and this talent, oh my goodness, we're gonna have world changers here in Africa who have dyslexia that are doing amazing work and are also popular. Yes, because the world is going to hear about them and know about popular dyslexics in Africa that are doing amazing work. And when you Google online, you're just not going to see white faces. Apologies. You're also going to see black faces who are popular and doing amazing work as dyslexics. The future is bright as we come together. It is.
Oh, thank you so much. I love that. I love that. Like you just dropped the mic, though we haven't finished. You just dropped it like that. Sandra, do you have something to add? We couldn't hear Sandra. Let's see. I think you're muted.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sister Blessing, you have really nailed it. It seems like you're reading my mind. Don't overread my mind. No, you really, really put it on a plate in the right way. First of all, I want to say, like in UK, they have dyslexic show. People all over the world comes to talk about dyslexic, to represent those who are dyslexic. They've made it big to encourage those who are feel weak. That is something that we are lacking. We here in Africa, because I'm not in Africa, you guys are there. You know how it is hard for us to get, power on time, electric on time, blah 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 blah. If we could just try to have once in a while, all that need, is all about be talking about is money. We could organize something like a conference in Africa, and we know we're gonna make more noise than what we're doing now, because our panels, our faces will be out there. Sandra from Congo, Philip from Kenya, Rosie from Ghana. So all that brings together, it's going to be a great noise. Different people will be coming in, because what we are doing is we are reaching, I think, we're reaching out quite limited people. Do you understand? Because some people, they can't get through us. They can't hear all this we are saying. If we can start organizing like dyslexic show, we're going to be inviting those dyslexic who they are in, they're very inspiring. They'll be in a platform to talk about it. The one coming from, the other part of the world. And I think that will have a great impact. That's what I believe so. Definitely. And our words, the way we are saying that we want to create awareness, and I think for that reason we're going to create that a great awareness as well. And then the world is going to see
Beautiful.
that Africa, it is doing something regardless dyslexia. Mhm.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that. I think we all in sync with one another and what we really want to achieve on the continent. I don't know if Miss Lola can talk. I don't know. Let me know. Okay, good. So, Jeranjie, you wanted to say something before. Am I right? Because I saw your hand raised. Okay, if that's not the case, then We quickly will address the question here, but before we address that question, yes, I agree with you all. I also want to see a united front for Africa when it comes to dyslexia awareness, support, advocacy, research, and in terms of research in cultural context and even instructional learnings that are culturally like based. I want to see that, and I cannot do that alone. Blessing cannot do that alone. Phyllis cannot do that alone. Sandra, Oladowi, Malawi, Jeranjie cannot do that alone. But together, we can achieve so much. And that's why this fellowship is also on the screen, as the idea is we want to have at least two people in each African countries being part of the fellowship for this new cohort. Their training will be starting in 2024 March, and it's going to be a yearly program. And like Blessing will say, I see this fellowship going into something that is full blown, like Mandela Washington Fellow. And that is our Mandela Washington Fellow for dyslexia. And even though this was pushed by Africa Dyslexia Organization, I want us all to feel as part of it, because once we have fellows in your country, they are going to be working together with you. And so in any way that you can support it to grow, it will be very much welcome. I don't know who among you, I think, I don't know if Olado, you would like to address this question here. How do we help youth, help youth with dyslexia globally, especially with course? I don't know if this question was,
Okay.
you know.
Can you
Olado,
hear
are you
me?
able to? Yes.
Okay. So there are two types of program designed for adults living with dyslexia, and so that it can make them employable. One of it is the Executive Function Intervention Program. This is aimed at targeting issues like working memory issues, even issues with learned helplessness. So there's a psychological phenomenon that says learned helplessness happens when as a child you've tried to read and you've struggled, and now you don't see any point in reading anymore or doing anything anymore, and now that this impacts your ability to do work. So because you don't see any good coming out of it because of years of failure, it has now impacted your willingness to want to do anything. So the executive function intervention is a program that I think that we should also adopt, if we're working with adults, that helps them to target issues of procrastination, fear, that helps them to develop a growth mindset, that also teaches them on assistive technology that you can use while you're working that can make you productive. So even when you're already, you should have HRs that properly delegate you to tasks that can we still hear me?
Hear you.
Okay. All right. So if we can we hear me? Okay, great. So if we can have programs that helps you, like when that executive function would teach you on AI, assist technologies that you can use to make you productive in the workplace, so that even when you have your superiors delegating you to tasks that involves writing or reading, you are not found struggling. That's what the executive function program literally looks like. Now, there's another program that is the Study Skills Intervention Program. This is teaching undergraduates or people who are trying to do their master's or their PhD how they can still thrive. And this pretty much has a lot of how you can take notes, how you can identify your learning styles, how you can design your study environment to work for you, so that you stop trying to explore things that are not your strength, and you're reading knowing what your strength is, and that will give you better results. So it is also individualized, where there's a needs assessment done, where even doing like a brain analysis to see what's your brain strength. Are you a problem solver? Are you a 3D imaginator? Are you someone who you have strength in 3D imagination? If your learning or your learning is targeted to your strength, it then ensures that you're not wasting your time trying to maybe write when that's not your strength, things like that. So those are programs that I'm hoping that, in the next, so these are things we've been developing as a curriculum in the past year. It's been research going into it, also using my personal experience and all that. So
That is amazing. So beautiful work that is being done by Oladonwe, and I Oladonwe, you and I would have to talk more about this. Litang, we are just about wrapping up. What would be your last words for us to part away? We cannot hear you.
Yes, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, I think I'm looking forward to Africa Dyslexia Conference. That's all I can say. That is the only thing that I'm looking forward to. I think all of us are doing a good job, and I'm actually happy that most of the interventions that sometimes we and the things that we learn from either the BDA or the IDA have had Sandra, is it Oladin and Lola talking about those things. So I'm thinking we have skills here in Africa. I mean, we can have our own conference with specialists and psychologists talking, and I think maybe we can organize one in Ghana, unless if you want me to organize it that's this side. But I think we are ready. I think we are very ready. We just need to maybe have consolidate our ideas and have one proposal that we can send to our governments, and other governments that are within our borders so that they can help us have a conference.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Guys, I think we need to fix a date in our next month's meeting. And I think, Blessman, you are the one to organize our next month's meeting. And maybe we will come out with a crazy idea of having our first in person dyslexia conference on Africa. And so, guys, 2024 will be an exciting, crazy journey. I'm dyslexic. I like crazy ideas. And Oladovi is here, Sandra is here. And so these dyslexic, we all like crazy ideas. So I think, Lisa, and thanks for bringing that on. If we are not doing it in Ghana or Nigeria, we are coming all the way to Botswana. And I want to come to Botswana. So let's see how.
Yes.
Yes. So let's see how we can make it together. Well, our audience, this is where we come to the almost an end to our conversation today. I'm going to give each of our speakers 1 minute to give us a closing remarks. You can decide to give a closing remarks to a parent who has a child with dyslexia, to a teacher, to your government, to whoever you want to address to. You choose what your closing remarks will be, and I'm going to go in the order that is on my screen. So, Dyslexia Kenya, Phyllis, go ahead.
I'm so happy. I'm so excited about this thing. And as you have said, let us have this conversation going. We don't lose momentum. We take a break and then it is going to go down. So we have to keep this fire burning. So I want to invite people for a course that we are doing, a short course starting from the 16th of October. It will be a 5-day course, short course from morning to half day, and it will have in-depth training, and it is a 5 days course. It will be virtual. So guys, those who are there, you can join us. We are going to send the link on our social media and on our pages and everywhere so that we can invite you. So join us. Again, this is what we do, liking to do the trainings. This is our workshop. So just join us and let us do this thing. Let us train, create awareness about how to support teachers, our children. And so thank you. We'll share the link in due course.
Awesome. Oladomi, go ahead.
Okay, can we hear me? Okay, I'll use my parting remarks to call for dyslexics, adult living with dyslexia, to join the Dyslexia tribe. We have a lot of program, that you'll be very interested in, which is aimed at ensuring that you can thrive at work, in your careers, even if you're trying to further your education or go back to school. And Blessing India Pay actually has donated or has decided to support us with a space for the next one. So thank you, Blessing. I'm calling you out on social media. So yes, so please, if you're dyslexic anywhere you are in the world, please reach out to us and join the Dyslexia tribe. And if you're in Nigeria, specifically in Lagos or Abuja, please reach out to us as well. We have, a lot of things planned for you in the coming months. Thank you.
Awesome. And then we would go to Jeranjie. What is your parting words?
For me, I would love to encourage parents out there who have dyslexic children. It's not easy. They just have to go out there, research more, find ways on how they can help their children, join the clubs. It's very helpful, especially for their adult children. And they just have to encourage their children and make sure they look forward to see change in their children. There is nothing that is impossible with a dyslexic child, but they need support and it needs patience. Thank you.
Beautiful. And I think Miss Lola still cannot talk, but what I can say on their behalf is that they have a training together with Dyslexia Help Africa and Cadets Academy have a training, and it's for teachers. So please go on their pages. The price is very, very affordable. I don't know where you can get this from. Go and sign up for that training and make sure you are part of it. Even if you're in Nigeria, you don't even have excuse at all. Please hurry up and join. If you're in Ghana, you don't have excuse. Anywhere you are on the continent, even if you're not on the continent, you can still join their training. So please go check it out. This is me speaking for Blessing and Coach Lola. Frank, what is your last words?
Um, my last word will be we have passion. I think all of us are passionate, but we need funding. I think whether you are watching from Ghana, Malawi, Kenya, the people you are watching are passionate, and they have always went an extra mile. If we have any donation that we can give any one of us, we need funding so that we can make this world a better place for those that are living with dyslexia and to change the narrative about dyslexia. I think all that's all I can say. Thank you.
Yes, I agree. The funding is very crucial. And for me, I would say thank you all for tuning in for today's episode of Dyslexia Global Conversation. We couldn't have ended Dyslexia Awareness Month on this, like with anything than what we're doing here. And all these beautiful ladies and gentlemen who spoke are people who are working so hard to bring change on the continent. And we ask you to support us one way or the other. Follow us on your platforms, reach out to them. They are very supportive. If you're needing any help, please reach out to them. At Africa Dyslexia Organization, our last event for the year is the Dyslexia Education Stakeholders Forum and is scheduled for the 11th of December at the British Council. It is going for 350 Ghana cedis, which is like $30. Early bird discount is about $20, which is 250 cedis. Please, if you're interested, go onto our website and send us a message to reserve your seat. The seats are fast running out. If you're part of last year's one, you know how these seats go so fast. And so that's our last event for the year. But like I said, all these fine ladies and gentlemen, they are all doing something. So go on the pages and look out for it. And also sign up if you are called to be part to raise awareness in your country, please take this link and then apply to become part of our inaugural group for the Dyslexia Advocate program. I just want to say a big thank you to you all, ladies. You have been a blessing one way or the other. Many children and adults on the continent, and I know that the journey is just about starting in a beautiful way with all of us working together. And I can't wait for us to have our meeting next month and for us to keep building. And so I don't know how to end this, but what I would say that remember that every child can learn, every child is a star, and therefore we are working together to raise our stars on the continent. And tomorrow we shall be proud of the work that we are doing. So let us not give up. Let's continue. Thank you, everybody. And it's a goodbye for now.
Thank you. Good
Thank
night,
you. Thank
everybody.
you.
Bye.